Hey everybody, welcome back to the NC State Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Tucker Sennett, your lead beat writer for NC State on SI. Joined today by my good friend and assistant beat writer, Daniel Rios, back again with some more NC State football knowledge. But before we get started, Daniel, how are we doing today?
We're doing great. College football returned last weekend. The NFL is just around the corner, and college football this weekend has a great slate. So, just got to get through this week, but we're doing great.
Yeah, we're back. We're watching guys play ball again. It's great. It's a great feeling. Um, Speaking of which, NC State game week is here. We've arrived. Kickoff Thursday against East Carolina in that rematch of the 2024 Military Bowl game. It's going to be exciting. We'll have a score prediction for you in our next podcast episode. But before we do that, we figured it was probably the right time to give you our record predictions for the NC State 2025 football season. Dan, any caveats before we do this? I'm happy to lead us off so you can make any last minute adjustments, but anything you want to say about this season before we get started?
I mean, not too much. I just think, a lot, and I think you'll probably touch on it. A lot of it rides on how CJ Bailey develops. That's going to be the big storyline we're going to be watching throughout. But no, I mean, this schedule presents a lot of exciting matchups for certain position groups. It's going to be interesting to see how some development has kind of taken place in this offseason, see if it has.
All right, let's do it. I'll get us started. Week one, obviously we got ECU. I got to win. Okay, so the Wolfpack are starting strong. I think they're going to come out and impose their will on this team. I think there's some serious frustration left over, and they want to win, but they want to win right and kind of erase the embarrassment of that brawl from a season ago. So I have a big win week one. Week two, they are at home against Virginia in a non-conference game. Some context there. That was supposed to be a trip to Boone, North Carolina to play Appalachian State. The NC State did not want to make that trip, so they opted to not play that game and scheduled Virginia instead as a non-conference opponent. So this will not have an effect on the ACC standings. I got to win here over the Cavaliers. I think that's a program that's still very much in rebuild mode. They improved from 3 to 5 wins last year and missed a bowl game. I don't see them getting much better than that this year. I don't think that's a very strong football program, and I think they'll probably struggle on the road. Week three, Thursday night game. Little scared about this pick. I got another win at Wake Forest. This is a place where NC State has, and a team that NC State has not been very good against the last few years, but and lost last year. But they're in just full rebuild mode. New head coach, very new roster. I don't see them being able to pull this one out for any reason other than it being a home game. So I think NC State goes out there to Winston-Salem and gets it done. That's my prediction there. So as of right now, 3 weeks into the season, we are 3-0. Week four, the trip to Durham to play the Blue Devils. This is another team that NC State has struggled mightily against in the last few years, and I don't see that changing this year. I think Duke has a very good roster. They're well coached by Manny Diaz, exciting stuff at quarterback. I think this is a loss, the first of the season. NC State falls to 3-1 in week four, comes back for week five against Virginia Tech, an intriguing opponent. Brent Pry is on the hot seat. He is certainly one of a few coaches in the ACC that is going to be coaching for his job. They have an interesting quarterback in Kyron Drones who he can run a little bit. So we'll see how NC State handles that. But I think ultimately NC State has more talent across the roster than Vatek. And I think they get the dub there. So 4-1. Moving on to week 6, this is the FCS matchup with Campbell. If they lose this game, I will retire. Um, this should be a win for NC
Oh.
State. I don't really see how it couldn't be unless the wheels don't just fall off the bus. They separate from the bus and fly away entirely. That is the only world where I see this being a loss. Although stranger things have happened. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois and made the national championship last year. So who knows? Speaking of Notre Dame, week 7, we got the trip to South Bend to face the preseason ranked number 6 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, or the Running Irish, if you saw their new logo. Um, this is a loss. I just there's not much we need to talk about right now, barring any sort of obviously a lot can change during the course of a college football season, but assuming Notre Dame's healthy coming into this game, um, I do not see NC State having much of a shot in this one. I think that'll be probably their toughest loss of the year. I think Notre Dame's a team that can really push them around. Then we go into the bye. So at the bye, just for reference, I have NC State at 5-2. Coming out of the bye, trip to Pittsburgh. Even though I picked Pittsburgh lower in the stand in my ACC standings prediction than NC State, I think this is a loss. I think Pitt is a tough team to beat at home. Narduzzi is a madman. Eli Holstein's a solid quarterback, and if they can keep him upright, they'll be tough to beat at home. Always very solid defensively, and just a conference opponent you never want to see on your schedule because they play hard. So that's a loss for me. So NC State's 5-3. Then we got a home game versus Georgia Tech. I think this is a game that NC State won't be favored in, but I do think this is a win. I think they steal this one over Georgia Tech, get that sixth win, get that bowl eligibility here because they're going to be desperate with 3 tough games to finish the season. So just get it out of the way early, you know? You get it, you might as well.
Yeah.
Then they travel to Miami, the preseason ranked number 10 Miami Hurricanes. I have this as a loss for now. That could change very quickly with this Miami team because I am not confident at all in Carson Beck. I've been outspoken about that. I don't think he's the talent that a lot of people make him out to be. I think there's certainly some concerns with his leadership capabilities, but that's a conversation for another day. I still think this Miami team's incredibly talented. They have really, really strong running backs, which we've talked about already. Um, I got this as a loss for the Wolfpack. Come back home for that Friday night game against Florida State, another team that I could see the season going very poorly and spiraling out of control or being really successful. Who knows? They're a total mystery to me. Um, Still, they have always struggled with these games in Raleigh, so I got a win here, getting that 7th win on the season, and then we got rivalry week to finish the year. North Carolina is in Carter Finley Stadium this year. NC State's going for its 5th win in a row against the Tar Heels. I got a win. NC State finishes the regular season 8-4. Book it. I am probably going to be very wrong about this, but that is what I got. I think anywhere between 5 and 8 wins is possible. But I'm going on the more optimistic side based on just how this team's been talking throughout fall camp. And I think this ECU game could very much change my outlook very quickly, but that's what I got for now. Dan, take us through it.
Yeah. It's a very modest prediction there by you. Like some of those picks, some of them were surprising to me, but I
Okay.
think I think the beginning of our seasons are definitely pretty similar. I got a win this Thursday against East Carolina. You know, they lost their best back in Rajay Harris in the offseason, but they returned. Three backs. One of them came in through the transfer portal, but essentially they have a three-headed backfield in Parker Jenkins, London Montgomery, and Marlon Gunn Jr. And surprisingly, to my surprise, that in December there was a running game that really destroyed the Wolfpack. But I mean, this unit last year, they were a top 27 passing team in terms of yardage last season. And then they add a 6 foot, I think, four threat in Jerquayez Petaway, I think is how you say his name, from Oklahoma. So, you get another weapon.
He's
I
a
think this
burner.
game, yeah, he's fast. Just couldn't really find a role in Oklahoma. But I think this game's gonna be a little bit closer than people expect, I feel like. I think maybe on the outside looking in, people don't really know how close this match or this rivalry has been and recently, but I got 1-0. And then you host Virginia, as you said, non-con game, which is kind of weird, but I'm gonna go another win there. Start off 2-0. I think Virginia this year, I don't think they'll be too dangerous. I know some people have kind of hyped them up in the offseason, but I think Wolfpack take care of business there. Then you travel to Wake Forest and you go and face a guy like Damon Claiborne, who was a really good running back last year in the ACC, and I expect him to have another big year. But outside of that, this roster doesn't look very good, not too much talent. I'm gonna have to go with another win for the Wolfpack here. So we're gonna be starting off 3-0 as well. Getting a little hype for the Wolfpack going, but I think me and you kind of see it the same. I think when you travel to Durham, I think that's a loss. I love this Wolfpack, or not Wolfpack. I love this Blue Devils defense. Chandler Rivers is a real threat at outside corner, and then you get Terry Moore returning as well, and then you upgrade this offense with a guy like Darian Mensah. I think this is a real sleeper in the ACC this year, and I think this is gonna be the first little hiccup that you're gonna see from this Wolfpack team, and I think this is the point of this season where you're gonna see what this team really can be because. I think you come off of this loss, and it's just going to be how this team responds to a loss like that. Then you host Virginia Tech. This one I kind of pondered a little bit in my head. I can see it going both ways. This is one of the true toss-up games I feel like on the schedule. I'm gonna go ahead and give them a loss. I think Kyron Drones comes into Carter Finley and has a really good day. I think that may be a bit surprising to say.
I just
Um,
worry, but the reason I think it's a win is because I just worry about Virginia Tech has a tough start to their schedule, and I worry about them losing some
Losing
faith,
some, yeah, that's fair.
and I don't know. You very well could be right. I just couldn't see them coming here after that start that they have and automatically getting that win, you know?
Yeah, I that's why I said I think this is truly a toss-up. I think either team can win. I pondered it for I think this is the one game that took me the longest to predict. But I just have a feeling that that offense is gonna come in because I looked at their schedule. I pulled it up here real quick. They do have South Carolina to start off, and then Vanderbilt. But then before NC State, you play Old Dominion and Wofford.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so.
think there's a very real world where they start 0 and 2.
Yep. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't disagree with you there. I think I mean 1-1. I think that's kind of what I think they go. But
I don't know, man. I like Vandy.
why are we Vandy believers on this podcast?
I
That's
just
fair. That's
I
fair.
I just trust Vandy a lot more than I trust what Vatek has been in recent years.
Yeah. And drones could as well not have a not so good year again. That wouldn't really surprise me at all. But
Yeah.
um, that one's I think my hottest take if you want to say on the schedule. So 3-2 before you face the FCS school in Campbell. I have them. I'm just kidding. They're gonna take care of business here. 4-2 going into South Bend, and then don't have to touch on this game too much. I have them losing in South Bend, putting them at 4-3. And then heading into Pittsburgh. This was another tough one. I had I just kind of for some reason I think this and Virginia Tech were my two hardest ones. I really like Eli Holstein. I really like Desmond Reed. I like the weapons that this Pitt offense has. This defense is solid. But for some reason, there's just the little voice in my head is just feeling that like North Carolina just goes in there and wins. North Carolina State. I feel like they go in there and they get a really tough win um against the Panthers. And what does that put them at? 5-3
Okay.
going against Georgia Tech. And then this is where I have another loss. I'm
Yeah.
really Duke, the Yellow Jackets, and Clemson. I'm really high in all those teams this year. So I with that offense that the Yellow Jackets are going to be rolling out this year with, Haynes King, you bring back Jamal Haynes, you add Eric Rivers, you add Dean Patterson, like that offense is going to be scary. The defense is it's a little suspect, but
Yeah.
I
I
I
also do.
trust.
I think this is a team that you would much rather get in November or late October. I think they get them in early November than you would in September.
Yeah.
I think this is a team that could be just the way that they play kind of worn out and beat
hmm
up a little bit. I mean, King takes a beating at quarterback given how much he runs. So I think that's an advantage, but I also this was my true coin flip game and
Yeah,
I, I honestly just am banking on home field advantage being a big perk
that's
for
fair.
this team in 2025. I think it goes a long way, especially in the ACC.
Yeah, I think it definitely does in the ACC. I this is if I were to, make a prediction right now, I'd say this is the highest scoring game of the entire schedule. I
Yeah.
think this is the one that you could see like some crazy like 40 to like 50 score. And I know that sounds outrageous to say now because we don't know what's going to happen, but I think these two offenses against these two defenses will find a lot of success very easily. So I feel like it's going to be one of those like, oh, who gets the ball last scenarios, and I feel like that's another toss up as well. But I just trust that Georgia Tech offense a little bit more. I kind of view both the defenses the same a little bit. Georgia Tech's is definitely a little bit worse, I'd say, on paper right now. But this Wolfpack defense, we've touched on it. They're very, they're very unproven. A lot of them are coming in as transfers. A lot of we don't know about yet. The linebacking core has a lot of guys who are either redshirt freshman. You got a guy coming off a torn ACL. You got a guy who was in the FCS last year who's apparently making some plays in practice. So we don't know what's going to happen with that linebacking unit. So I think it's that one's a big toss up. I lean the Yellow Jackets. And this is you said that you had them beating Miami. I have them losing. I
I do
think.
not have them beating Miami.
Oh, you didn't have them beating Miami?
No, I had them beating Florida
Oh,
State
oh, okay.
and
That's
Georgia
my
Tech.
fault. Oh, that's my fault. My fault.
I'm not that crazy, Dan.
Not that crazy. Okay.
I
Well,
don't I don't think they're gonna go to South Florida. Although one thing I thought about when I was picking this game, CJ Bailey might want to put on for his peeps down
we
there.
we had
And
a full-on technical difficulty. My headset just died, but it's okay.
okay,
We plugged it in. Now I can
okay.
hear you.
I was gonna say that I could see CJ Bailey wanting to go put on a show for those people in Southern Florida just because that's where he's from. Um, I also, not to put this in the air, if things don't go well this season, that's a play, but he does play well. That's a place where I could see them making some inroads transfer portal wise with him, given his background and where he's from. It's
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah,
makes sense. So if he
does
goes
make
down there
sense.
and balls out, and wins, then that's certainly something to keep in mind. But no, I did not have that I had Georgia Tech as a win. I had this as a loss.
Okay. I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna be agree with you. I'm gonna have them
Yeah.
losing as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I think why, because I was kind of doing my schedule while you were talking a little bit. Um, I heard you kind of say that you didn't believe in Carson Beck, and I'm kind of on that train as well. So I think that's just kind of why I assume. But regardless, I think this Miami defense is legit. I think they have a lot of transfers in the secondary, which is the big question mark. But I really do like their front seven.
It
Um,
can't be any worse than it was a year ago. That's kind of how I feel about them.
That's true. they got a lot of talent in the transfer portal. So I think that's why I'm a little bit high on them right now. But I think if it just doesn't gel together, you see a little bit of the disappointment as you did last year. But um, yeah, it's kind of hard to be as bad as they were last year. So
Yeah, yeah. At
um,
least, I mean, defensively, obviously, this was like a one of one offense.
oh
That's what
yeah,
I think is. I think people are banking a little bit on Beck coming in there and it looking exactly like it looked last year, and I think people forget like Cam Ward had to do a lot on his own. There,
yeah.
a lot of those games were just like totally off script, crazy stuff. Uh,
Hmm.
like that Cal game was nuts. That he was just playing pickup out there by the end of that thing, and I just don't know that Carson Beck is that kind of quarterback. And I know, there's people out there that are like he just needed to get away from Georgia because that's not a place where quarterbacks develop well. I don't I don't really get that because he was solid with like superstar weapons around him and didn't they weren't able to win. And then his weapons all left to the NFL or transferred or whatever, and he was turning the ball over a lot, and it wasn't as good. The yards were there, but he just it never looked right.
Yeah.
And their defense made up for a lot of his deficiencies last year. So I don't know. Miami obviously does not have Georgia's pedigree on that side of the ball. And I think that puts a lot on his plate to be elite. And I don't think that they have the even close to the same caliber of pass catchers that they did a year ago.
Oh yeah. The someone is as someone who like studied Cam Ward coming out, like yeah, Carson Beck is nowhere near the amount of arm talent that Cam Ward has, and this offense is gonna, I think, take that hit. The one bailout I'll give Beck a little bit is the Georgia weapons last year weren't very
No, I
good.
know,
They were,
I agree, but my last point was like I don't think Miami's weapons this year are that much better.
oh yeah, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
very
no.
good running backs and a good offensive line, but they don't have like there's no Restrepo to bail you out. There's no Arroyo. They don't have those consistent targets that they had last year. They got a lot of improving guys. Anyway,
Yeah.
we've spent too much time talking about the wrong team here. So, what do you got
Yeah.
what do you got for Florida State?
Florida State, I got them securing their bowl eligibility. I have them winning at home. Yeah, Florida State, their offensive line, their entire offensive core essentially has changed, and I
Again,
think again for like the 15th millionth time, but I think it's gonna take a little bit longer to gel. I think they'll be a little bit more efficient by the time they come to Raleigh, but yeah, it's not gonna matter. Darrell
yeah,
Jackson's a dog, but
this is
that's about it.
another quarterback matchup that I think people right now are remembering Thomas Castellanos against like Missouri in that game where he kind of played well, but he he's not
He's
he's a fiery player who is very confident. The talent is significantly behind the confidence that he's sort of like the Diego Pavia of the ACC in a lot of ways. I mean, it's like just
yeah.
fiery little quarterback that's going to go out there and try to make plays with his legs. And uh, I just I don't see I don't see this going as well as I do like a Jordan Travis.
Yeah,
I think he's better than Uyunglele,
oh yeah.
but the
I think
ball,
they definitely upgraded there, but I
yes,
just don't just their outlook for an entire season, like I just don't I mean, I think they're
they're
like a fringe bowl team in my opinion.
they are very mysterious.
Yeah.
I think people are treating them as they treated them going into the 2023 season, where it was like, yeah, they got a lot of new talent, but it's not, we don't really know. And then
Yeah.
last year, after they missed the playoff, everybody's like, this team did what they did the year before. They rebuilt through the portal. These guys are talented. Uyunglele figured some things out at Oregon State. keep in mind at Oregon State he was throwing behind like the Avengers offensive line. I mean that was like that was one of the better college offensive lines I've seen in recent years up
Oh
there
yeah.
with the Beavers. They were some road graders. So yeah, I think NC State takes care of business here, and so do you. And let's get to the grand finale.
Yeah, so I have just to get out of the way, I have them winning. I think they go 7-5 to end their season.
Okay.
But I almost for me it's kind of hard to pick just in my head just to pick against Belichick, especially a defense that will have had those 10, 11 games under his scheme.
Yeah,
But my worry too is like I feel like it's going to be a little bit too complicated for them, and I just don't like there's just so many transfers, and it's just
it's a
I don't know.
lot of transfers. We still don't have a quarterback down there. They have yet to name a quarterback. I believe they are now the
They
last
they are.
FBS team
I
or
think
at
so.
least power conference team to not
The,
name one quarterback.
their receivers also scare me a little bit too.
Yeah, no, they
It's
they have some holes, but I agree with you where I think the floor of a Belichick coach team, college or professional, is always going to be like mediocre. And so, like, if these two teams come into this game with 6 wins, then it's a total coin flip. I think if NC State has 7 wins and North Carolina has 5. I lean NC State because there's nothing more, or they'd love nothing more than to send North Carolina packing for the year and have them miss a bowl game. I also think 5 in a row is a big point of emphasis, and given we don't know how long Dave Doran's going to stay with this program. I don't think it's this year is the end, but I think the end is closer than the beginning. And let's say something drastic happens and he decides this is it. He's, I just don't see them losing this game
yeah.
and having that be the send off, you know. I think I think as long as he's still with this Wolfpack program, they're gonna find a way to win this game, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think looking at the recent history and especially with him at the helm is and like I mentioned, I believe so much in Belichick just because of like just what he's done in the NFL. This is college. It's a completely different
Yeah.
sport, and
The, the
I
other
just can't
thing,
pick against Dave in this rivalry.
right, and the other thing is it's not like North Carolina had um nobody coaching the team.
Oh yeah.
Mac Brown is a
Yeah.
national champion, and obviously, yes, he was really old at the end. There's a reason he had to go, but I just like Doran outcoached him 4 times and beat them 4 times. So it's like Belichick is in a league of his own, obviously, but I just I just don't see this game has so much juice. It's in Raleigh. There, you got Hollywood Smothers throwing darts at Belichick's photo. They can say that they don't care about Belichick all they want, but all the noise that's going to come out from down there all season and their easy schedule, if they have,
Their schedule is
yeah,
sick.
it's just like it's the perfect storm for NC State to go out there and make a statement. That's how I view it. And I'm
Yeah.
sure North Carolina feels the same way. They have plenty of bulletin board material, but it's more a question with them about buy-in and how much they buy into this Belichick project. So Dan, if I did the math correctly, you have them at 7-5 at the end.
Yes.
Okay. What's your before we wrap things up, what's your floor and what's your ceiling?
So my ceiling is I'd say 9 wins.
Okay.
I think my floor is a 6-win team. I don't envision this team not making a bowl game this year.
That's kind of where I stand as well. I think if they lose or if they win fewer than 6 games, I mean obviously it's a way bigger disappointment than last year because you don't even get to that bowl game, but I think that would be a disaster in a lot of ways. I mean, you you worked pretty hard to retain some of these guys. You brought back Bailey, you brought back Smothers, you brought back Jolie, and there's some pride riding on this season, and also, you know, there's some systemic there's a organizational point of emphasis that was made with this roster in
Mhm.
terms of mixing those returners and banking on that retention, improving. And I just think it's very hard for me to see them falling apart this year.
Yeah.
I can't see it. I think up is more likely than down, but I do not think that this is a 10 win team. I think that 9 is the max. Just mainly because they never win 10 games. It's just like I
Uh,
it just hasn't happened. So I can't say that it's going to happen with any confidence. I think 8 is certainly a confident prediction just based on what we know. I could see my prediction dropping to 6 if this ECU, like at halftime of the ECU game, depending on what happens.
yeah. I've really struggled to go max 10 because I mean like you, like I've researched this team as when I got, put on the beat and it's just like they do not win 10 games.
No.
It is 9 max. There's always some, terrible loss mixed in somewhere
Yeah, or it's just they play too many teams that
that
are
are
ranked or like high level ACC teams, and that's where Doran's really struggled is with those ranked opponents. So I don't know. It would be a very surprising development if they went out and beat a Miami this year or Notre Dame. That's
yeah,
the
I
with the
agree.
way this team is constructed. Other years when they've had big better teams and still lost, I feel like it stings more because you felt like that was the year, but I don't know. So 8-4 for Tucker, 7-5 for Daniel. Um, I'm feeling good about my prediction right now. We'll get back on that at halftime. I'll probably tweet about that. Um, I
Oh.
talking to some of the other people on the beat. Everybody's kind of in this ballpark, 7 wins, 8 wins. It's just like that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a 6 to 8 win team. That's sort of my takeaway, and that's what we got. Dan, you got anything else to add?
No, we've covered a good amount of the schedule. Nothing
All
else.
right. Well, thank you as always for tuning in to the NC State Insider Podcast. Feel free to follow my personal Twitter account at Senate Tucker and the website's Twitter account at Wolfpack on SI, as well as Daniel at Daniel Rios at Daniel underscore Rios 72.
There we go.
Um, he's got some great other stuff besides his NC State content, but obviously his NC State content is there as well. Um, yeah, I mean that's what we got for today, and we'll be back with you on the next episode talking about ECU predictions for that game. Super exciting stuff. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.